Reality check, man, from your device. You know, it's a unique one, aromatic, realistic TV. Anyway, today, my viewers and subscribers, I am here to talk about the NIDS. And the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, is using the crisis of the Beryl hurricane disaster that the people of Jamaica face. And you and I know that as I speak, people still not get back current. People still not have running water. People still not have food to eat. People still not have roof over them head. People still not have a mattress to sleep on. And the Prime Minister of Jamaica get millions of dollars from overseas donor for the people of Jamaica. And now the Prime Minister is tying that money to the NIDS and telling the citizens of Jamaica that if them not take the NIDS, them now get that little contribution. We just want to stop for a minute and make it sink in. When your people are at their worst and need the help, need the help, and the Prime Minister who you elect to serve and to protect and to make sure at all times he do everything in his power to make sure that no Jamaican left behind, is the same Prime Minister is tying NIDS over relief. So if you're not take the NIDS, you're not going to get the release. So there's a lot of things is going on right now in the media. You understand, with some of us, you understand, who are independent journalists. And what me I try to tell the man them say, yo, we need to put the ego aside, step back and think about the Jamaican people who are suffering. Remember, when we start this journey, it was not all about us, but it was all about the injustice that is taking place in Jamaica. The nepotism and the cronyism, the corruption that is taking place in Jamaica, and the injustice of our people. That's the only reason why some of us start this mission. We need to get back to focus. We need to get back on track. Because remember, this mission in the first place was not all about us. This mission was all about the suffering people of Jamaica who need a deliverance from this wicked and cruel government. So let us put our difference aside and remember our duty and our calling. Remember, our duty and our calling is to deliver the Jamaican people out of the hands of these wicked that led by this Andrew Holness administration. So I want to play a clip of Chief Justice Brian Sykes, and when the court strike down NIDS and said that it is against the people constitution right. Remember, you know, the Chief Justice in Brian Sykes and the appeal court strike down this NIDS thing and say it is in breach of the people constitution. And the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, return back with NIDS, and now him a hold the people them hostage. Say if you not take NIDS, me nah go no relief. Just think about that, you know. Your people are in the worst stage of their life. Worst stage of their life. And instead for you to give them the relief, you're holding it against them and hold them hostage and say, it's either you sign for the NIDS or you not get the relief money. That's what the Prime Minister is telling the people of Jamaica. If you not sign and take the NIDS, you not get the relief money. Just think about that, you know. The people back are against the wall. They're suffering. They need of this money. And you are holding them hostage. If they don't take the NIDS, them now get the relief. But anyway, my viewers and subscribers, I am going to play the clip and then after we will dissect it. Take it away.
Back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome to our viewers on OneSpotMedia.com.
Up first this evening, the Holiness Administration will have to decide what next after today's court ruling, which struck down the law under which the national ID system is to be implemented.
The Constitutional Court ruled that the National Identification and Registration Act, the law under which a national ID is to be issued, is null and void, unconstitutional, and having no legal effect.
Now,
The Constitution Court struck down the Andrew Holness request for the NIDS. The Constitution Court of Jamaica struck down the request. So it is against the people constitution right. The court struck it down. And then back on the scene again and holding the people hostage. So if we not take the NIDS, we not get the relief. Anyway, my people, continue.
the government in response has so far sent out a terse statement only saying, quote, it is reviewing the judgment, end quote, and will, quote, provide a fulsome response, end quote. Now, efforts to get the Prime Minister's response to the ruling while on assignment in Trelawney and St. James today failed, with his communication staff barring attempts to do so by our correspondents.
However, we have reactions from the opposition, lawyers, and Jamaicans for justice to the ruling in this newscast and a flashback on how we got here. But first, here's TVJ's Andrea Chisholm.
The Chief Justice summarizing the unanimous decision of the court.
We are of the view that the National Identification and Registration Act is to be declared null and void and of no legal effect.
Through NIDS, Jamaicans had no choice but to turn over personal information to the state so they could get a unique number or card to do business.
We have found that the mandatory requirement deprived the person of choice. That is, they were not free to decide whether to participate in the scheme or not. It was not a voluntary scheme. In addition to that, there was a compulsory, not just a compulsory nature, but also the fact that it was backed up by the risk of criminal prosecution.
Information on the NIDS was not limited to standard personal details such as names and addresses. Biometric data, including blood type, vein pattern, retina, or iris scan, were also included.
The literature tells us that you can glean information about a person's state of health from an iris scan. You can determine almost what illness they're suffering from, what's the likely medication they're on, and other things that are very personal and private to them. So hence the question of informational privacy loomed large in our considerations.
Chief Justice Sykes, Justice David Batts, and Justice Lisa Palmer Hamilton also indicated that the unique identification number would work across different databases of the government.
And so enabling now the state to pull together vast amount of information about the citizen and in effect put itself in a position to derive new information and new knowledge by this combination of information now. And that we felt was a violation of the privacy rights.
Plus, the law did not have adequate protection to store and keep data safe. And since the Charter of Rights states that Parliament shall pass no law which infringes the rights of citizens, the National Identification and Registration Act was struck down and declared unconstitutional. In the meantime, there was reference to the
law don't have adequate privacy to keep the people record what them go give the government safe. So therefore, this is against the people constitution right. So they struck it down. So when we say we need to get back on track, because there is so much work for us as independent journalists is here to do. And the work is just begun. So we can't get distracted. We can't lose focus. We have to stay locked in. We have to stay locked in right now. And remember that we are not doing this for ourselves, but we are doing this. We are in this fight for the Jamaican people. We are in this fight to deliver the Jamaican people. We are in this fight to bring freedom to the Jamaican people. We are in this fight to see the back of the Andrew Holness administration. So put our ego aside. Put our ego aside. Put our difference aside. And come together. And remember from day one, say this fight was not about us. So there is no reason for us to push ourselves to the forefront now. When the fight from day one was never about us. The fight is about to deliver the Jamaican people. So anyway, my people, that was the Chief Justice, Brian Sykes. And the Supreme Court struck down National ID Act. And the Chief Justice, Brian Sykes, stated, they are of the views that the National Identification Registration Act to be declared null and void. Null and void and have no legal effect. My viewers and subscribers want to know for hear what the Chief Justice Brian Sykes say, in the Constitution Court, when they struck down the NIDS, they are of the views that the National Identification Registration Act to be declared null and void and have no legal effect. Them can't carry no go a court, them not supposed to sabotage, And if him withheld any fund from uno need to get an attorney and go sue the government of Jamaica because the Constitution Court stated that it have no legal effect, my people. I want to know to hear me. And the Chief Justice moved on and he said, we have found that the mandatory requirement deprive persons of choice. And he stated that is deprived person of choice. And he stated that is. And he goes on and he say they were not free to decide whether to participate in the scheme or not. They were not free to decide whether to participate in the scheme or not. The justice goes on and he stated it was not a voluntary scheme. So what he said, you are forcing the people against their will. It was not a voluntary scheme by the government of Jamaica. You were forcing the people against their will. The justice goes on and he stated, in addition to that, it was also backed up by risk of criminal prosecution. Justice Brian Sykes stated that in addition to that, it was also backed up by the risk of criminal prosecution. So you know see what happened? The Prime Minister of Jamaica violate the people constitution right. It's not me who said it. It is the Justice Brian Sykes. And the Constitution Court struck down the Andrew Holness led NIDS. Struck it down and says what? What did he say? They are of the views that the National Identification and Registration Act to be declared null and void and have no legal effect. We have found that the monetary recommendation deprived person of choice, and he stated that is they were not free to decide whether or not to participate in the scheme or not. And he make it to be clear that it was not a voluntary scheme. And what put the icing on the cake, he said in addition to that, it was also backed up by the risk of criminal prosecution. So down the line, you could face criminal prosecution for this. I did not say that. It's the Chief Justice, Brian Sykes, and the Constitution Court struck down the Andrew Holness push-led NIDS. And Andrew Holness is back at it again, holding the Jamaican people at hostage who their back are against the wall, need this assistant. And you're telling them if them not take the NIDS, them now go and get this assistant. So my fellow man, my brothers, my sisters, who are in this fight and fighting for the Jamaican people, in spite of the little distraction that is going on in the media now among some of us, put our difference aside, put our ego aback, and remember in the first place that this was not about us. It was not about us. It was about to deliver the people of Jamaica. Let us not lose sight. Let us not get distracted. Remember our purpose. Remember what we are fighting for. We are fighting for the deliverance of the Jamaican people. We are fighting for freedom. We are fighting to see the back of this Andrew Holness-led corrupt criminal organization. That's what we are fighting for. My independent journalists, the Jamaican people is what matters right now. And that's where the focus is supposed to be. Let's not make self and ego push ourselves to the forefront and lose our focus on the purpose that we are fighting for. To unite the people around us so that they can make that choice whenever they call it. Remember, the mission is getting tougher and tougher. But don't get distracted, my fellow men and women, my freedom fighters and warriors, all the bloggers and independent journalists who are fighting for the Jamaican people. When we start this journey, it was not about us because most of us have our decent life. We are living good. We're all right. We're not in a no problem. But it's pain our heart to see what our people are going through. And because of that, injustice that is taking place, we decide to throw our hat in the ring and be a part of this fight. Don't get distracted. Don't lose focus. Don't put ourselves at the forefront. Don't let ego come in at the way. Remember the purpose. Remember the purpose is to rescue the Jamaican people. Is to rescue the Jamaican people. Is to rescue the Jamaican people. So let us get back on track. Let us get back on track. Put the difference aside and remember our purpose. Remember our purpose. Remember our purpose. Remember our purpose. Jamaica. The Supreme Court strike down National ID Act. Justice Sykes. They are of the views that the National Identification Registration Act is to be declared null and void and have no legal effect. We have found that the mandatory requirement deprive persons of choice, and he stated that is, they were not free to decide whether to participate in the scheme or not. He make it be clear it was not a voluntary scheme. And he goes on and put the icing on the cake and said in addition to that, it was also backed up by the risk of you, criminal prosecuted. Think about that. If you did not participate, you would be criminally prosecuted. And Andrew Holness is back at it again. He's back at it again. And that's why he stated, we have found that the mandatory requirement deprive person of choice. That is, they were not free to decide whether to participate or not. And Andrew Holness now is telling them, if you not take it, NIDS, uno nah get no money. So the same thing why you struck down for, you are back at it again. Forcing the people, holding them hostage to take something against their will. And if they don't take it, they won't get this aid. Remember Andrew Holness, you get millions of dollars from all over the world to help the Jamaican people them in this crisis. And as the leader, the prime minister, who them elect you? So if there's a crisis, you're supposed to stand up and rescue the Jamaican people. Instead, you are holding them hostage and telling them if they don't take this NIDS, them now get the relief. And people down there still not have current. People down there still not have running water. People down there still not have a house. People down there still not have a roof over them head. People down there still not have food for them. People down there still not have a mattress for sleep. And you are telling them if they don't take the NIDS, if they don't take the NIDS, you are not going to give them no relief. Make it sink in, my viewers and subscribers. Make it sink in. So my fellow independent journalists in this fight, please remember that this fight was not all about us. This fight was all about the Jamaican people. So please remember. Please remember. Anyway, my viewers and subscribers, stay tuned to Aromatic Realistic TV. Like and share and follow us over YouTube. We don't know what to do. And we tell them say God and good road. And we also tell them that the signature word, I love my brothers and sisters. I love my brothers and sisters. Peace out.